Okay. Today we want to talk about the, take a minute to talk about the, here we have, yes.
I'm going to go get my book.
Yes. Okay. Today we want to talk about the theories of leadership. At first, I have a question. Is there any idea between you that there is theories? Can we have some theories about leadership or not? What do you think about the theories of leadership? Leadership a personality trait or not? How do you think about it? Related to your personality, are the leaders born or not? They are training for to be a leader. How do you think? Robin, what do you think about it?
I think certain people certainly have more traits and characteristics that can make them be more successful leaders. I definitely think that there are skills, traits, behaviors that people can learn and develop to be leaders. A combination.
Combination between nurture and nature.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander, how do you think? The same?
I think it's the same, yeah.
How many percent of successful leadership is related to your training? Ronald, how do you think about the percentage of successful leadership is related to your skill training as a leader? Do you have any prediction of the percentage of successful leadership or not?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Never think about this. So I don't think so.
50-50? Or no? More weight for personality traits, or more weight for skill training? Robin says that
I would say 50-50.
50-50. Alexander, do you think 50-50 also? Or no? More weight for personality, more weight for education and skill training as a leader.
I think personality is more than 50%.
How much?
Maybe 7.
70%. Nadine, how do you think?
I think a person should be situational and be a participative, like working in an organization or leading, be a leader.
Situation. And what about the skills? What skills do you think that a leader should have?
Personal skills like a good motivator.
Other things? Only motivation and to be a motivator is enough for being a leader?
A humble person, a sense of humor.
Other things?
Maybe emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence also.
Emotional questions. Okay.
Creative thinking. Critical thinker. Critical
thinking. Is it necessary to be a leader to have critical thinking? Robin, do you think it is necessary or no? It's good, maybe, but not absolutely to have critical thinking. It's very necessary for being a leader.
Yeah, I think the thinking portion plays a huge role in it. Critical thinking, being a visionary, being able to think towards the future.
Yeah. And do you think critical think give you the vision for the future or no? Because of that, I am asking such a question because you have two
Yeah.
thinking, critical thinking and creative thinking.
Hmm.
Which is more important for being a successful leader with this definition of leader, that leaders are always future oriented? This is the cutoff point between the leaders and managers, as we talk about it here.
Hmm.
With this feature, which skill is more important, critical thinking or creative thinking? Also to be a person for future-oriented person.
I think critical thinking, you can always hire somebody to be more creative.
So you think if you want to be creative thinker, you should be at first critical thinker?
Yes.
Yes. Because critical thinking is about destroying and under questioning your past. But creative thinking is about creating the future.
Okay.
If you have critical thinking about the future, it is not critical thinking. It is critical thinking about the creative thinking. At first, future is made by your creative thinking because it is creative. You are creating your future. Creative thinking. But you should have, and you sometimes have, some questions about the probable, not possible, probable creatures. In that side, you should have critical thinking about your creative thinking for the future. But as a manager, as a leader, critical thinking is about present situation, not about the possible or probable future in the situation in the future, because you are criticize something which is present. With this definition, with these differences between critical it is operational definitions, not conceptual definition. These are operational definitions of critical thinking and creative thinking. With these definitions, is it more important to have critical thinking as a leader, not as a manager, or creative thinking? Ronald,
Creative then.
Yeah, I would say creative.
create. Yeah, because leaders are future oriented. And the one part are future oriented and future thinkers. As you know, there's a major field in the universities, so-called master degree and sometimes PhD degree of future studying. Now future studying is an academic field, academic major. Sometimes it is offered in the engineering group. For example, for industrial engineering, some specific fields are future studying. Sometimes it is offered in humanistic group, humanities, for example, in sociology, in psychology. Even based upon the mathematical thinking about the future. Mathematical thinking. It is not about your thinking, it is about your prediction of the future based upon the statistics and mathematical. It is future studying, where we are going and where we want to go. These are separate together. Pay attention. These are not the same. Where you are going, it is your possibility. Where you want to go, it is your probability. And these are not always same together. When you can go and where you want to go. Where you want to go, it is something that probably you can go, not absolutely. But where you can go, it is about in the circle of your possibilities, not probabilities. And these are very, very, very sharp differences between to be smart and to be intelligent. These are difference between to be smart and to be intelligent. Intelligent people think about the future as present moment, but the smart people think about the future as future, not as the problem. So creative thinking are for the smart people. They want the future to be different from the present moment. They want to have different future and to make different future, not to have make different future. But intelligent people say, yes, this is my present position, and I will go to the next position, not to the best position, not to the best version. Is it idealistic? Okay, you are studying in university for being the next generation of leaders and managers and businessmen and businesswomen. If you don't have any creative thinking about the future, you are not the higher educated people. You will be so simple workers for universities. You are the employee of the science. You will not be scientists about, for example, business or management. Okay. Learning objectives are identified the three major areas of study: leadership, explain the method, results, shortcomings, and other things. From 1800 to 1940s, we have a long-term one approach, charismatic approach about the leaders. What does it mean? It means that leadership is something inside you, not outside you. It's related to your personality, your traits. It's called trait approach to leadership or trait era. And after that, with the upcoming, emerging, the behavioral approach, especially in psychology, as a dominant approach to every aspect of human, that what is psychology? Psychology in that approach is that scientific studying of what is measurable and observable in human. Something which is measurable and observable in human being, it is called behavior. So behaviorism, after emerging the physics as a science, chemistry as a science, measurable and observable at the beginning of the 20th century. After that, psychologists think that, so how do you think about the perception, about the thinking, about the feeling? These are not out of the realm of science. These are not the scientific objects. So what part of psychology, what part of human being is good for studying as is the science in psychology? It is something which is measurable and observable. It is called behaviorism. In the continuous with the to be observable and measurable, in leadership, we have a movement so-called behavioristic leadership. What are the aspects of behaviors of leaders? Leaders are the behaviors. Leaders are not the mindsets. In that approach, they thought, okay, it's not important to know about the knowledge, about the mindset, about the attitudes of leaders. You should know about the behaviors of leaders, about the actions, not about the mindset, thoughts, and feelings behind the actions. Only the actions are measurable and observable. In this approach, we should train people to be leaders. Why? Because leadership in this approach is not related to the traits, character, personality. Leadership will be a skill training method. And after that, after ending World War, Second World War, and having some evolutions and also revolutions in quality control, especially in quality control industry, thinkers about leadership has come to this result that leadership is a combination from the personality traits and situations and skills. This is called contingency era from early 1960s to present. Focus on understanding both the leader and the leadership situation. So we have two words here. Terminology have two words: leadership traits and leadership situation. How do you think about the phrase leadership situation? What does it mean, leadership situation?
Maybe attitude,
Yeah, Alex. Right.
maybe attitudes about the leader.
About the leadership situation. What is leadership situation? We have leadership traits, leadership behaviors, and now we are talking about leadership situation. What is leadership situation? Why it is so important, the definition of 3 types and 3 eras of leadership. 1, trait approach. 2, behavioral approach. 3, contingency approach. The combination of leadership style and leadership situation. What is leadership situation? We will talk about it, but at first I want to use your brain to discover your inner knowledge. The responsibility, the beauty of coming to university is not have a lot of information. A lot of information are in internet. You can use it. It is about learning you how to think and how to process the information, not to have information. You are not a library. We have a good library in university and you can use and see. You can call Rupali and go to visit the library, and also on internet. As a joke, I said, I want to learn you how to think and how to analyze, how to process the data. Because processed data is called information. If you only have raw data, it is not information. After processing, it is called information. So before entering each title, each chapter, I want to talk about this with your brain. If you have studied before the class, okay, that's good. I want to know that how do you think about, for example, what is the meaning of leadership situation? How do you think about it?
Leadership.
Situation. Is parenting a leadership situation?
Leader.
Do you think parenting is a leadership situation?
Sorry.
Parenting, to have some child, to be a father, to be a mother, is it a leadership situation? With that academic definition of leadership, future oriented.
I think
As a father, I am a leader of my son or not?
yes, as an individual, I think it's a kind of individual situation. Or as a person,
What are the leadership aspects of to be a father or to be a mother, parenting? What are the leadership aspects of this leadership situation? What traits I should have, what knowledge I should have, what behaviors I should do.
Patience.
What? First,
Patience.
patience. Second one. That's good. I love it. Second one. Do I need any academic studying about parenting or not? Should I read some books or not? How many parents do you know that they have very formally about the role of parenting or not? Their parenting style is like their parents' parenting style. You see that your father behaves like your grandpa. Why? Because it is the inherited parenting style. And if your father doesn't have any good behavior, you see that grandpa doesn't have any good behavior, and the next generation, for the next son, you will not have any good behavior to your next generation. For example, in this parenting situation, as a leadership situation, what are the requirements? Robin said 1, patience. Second, do we need any formal knowledge about parenting or not? You will be the leader of your children. Do you need any leadership training for this leadership situation or not?
it's commonly called primary. Parents are the primary teachers, so they have to learn to teach all the activities, daily activities, how to perform. They follow parents, no.
Mm, yeah. Primary teaching, primary learning, primary data. But primary data is related to your primary age. When you are 10, yes, you know something about the parenting, but sorry, you're at the age of 10. You cannot process and you cannot understand the necessity, the severe necessity of having knowledge about parenting as a leader. For the next generation, why we are talking about the parenting? Because parenting is a leadership situation for next generation of world, next generation of a country, next generation of your generation. It is very, very important and basic. Other leadership situation. Ronald, do you think that to be a student at CalMU can be a leadership situation? Is your position is a leadership situation or not?
I don't think so. Not as a student.
You cannot be leading, you cannot lead anything for the future as a movement, as being a, for example, university student. You cannot see yourself as a leader for the next generation of students. Robin, do you know that we have a student parliament? Do you know about it in CalMU? We have a student parliament, a student council in, before coronavirus, we established a student council, a student parliament for all the students at different levels, for the bachelor degree, for the master degree, and also for DBA, that you should be our council for the future of CalMU. And your data is very important because it is the most live data. You are our outcome. You can say us that we are good or not. And your result can tell us about the quality of our university. In this situation, for example, can you see yourself? Let me ask a very, very more basic question. Except of Robin, because Robin is now a leader. Alexander, Nindin, and Ronald, and also other students that can see this video after ending the class as an online class. Which of you want to be a leader in future? Ronald, do you think that you want to be a leader? Nidin,
Yeah,
Alexander,
definitely want to be a leader.
do you want to be or not?
Yes, for sure. Not
Yes.
a student leader, but
You say yes, and after that, with a very heavy accident, you say sure. That's
Yes.
good. I love it. And Nidin, what about you?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And Alexander always says as the same. I'm the same. Okay. So we have three potential leaders here. What field do you want to be a leader in? For example, Ronald, do you want to be a business leadership, executive leadership, family leadership, country leadership, mind and idealistic, and for example, movement leadership? When you have a movement, you are a guru, you are not a leader. Guru is the word, do you know the meaning of guru?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guru is the king of mind.
Yeah.
Sultan of intellectualistic approach to life. For example, in India, a lot of people with the spiritualistic features, they are called guru. But now in America, we say guru, for example, guru of business.
Good.
Someone who has a different approach to thinking, to mind, to have a mind about business. It is not business, for example, manager, business teacher, business doctor. It's something more than everything. Business guru. So I think with this approach, honestly, if you are honest with me, and more important than it, honest with yourself, it is very important than being honest with me. If you want to be a leader in the future, okay, which of you think that you need some skill training do you think that if you will be trained for being a leader, it is enough, it is sufficient and also efficient, or no? For example, I can see, I can look at your faces and have some pre-assumption about your ability to be a leader in the future. Which of you think that your face has a good face for leadership? All of you?
Yeah, I believe I have.
Yes, I love your face also for leadership, and also Nidin and also Alexander, because of I have seen a lot of people with very, very, very ordinary face. Also, after being a leader, for example, Malcolm X, do you know Malcolm X? One of the intellectualistic leaders of, for example, Black movement about 40 years ago or 50 years ago. Something before or after, for example, Dr. Martin Luther King, okay? Malcolm X are very, very ordinary people before coming as a movement or a lot of thinking movement leaders. Very, very simple, but it is related today mind, and which is more important than thinking in leadership, which is more important, not business leadership, not organization, leadership as a movement, which is more important than thinking? Which is the basic of that you call, of that you call charisma, which is more important than thinking, which is your passion, enthusiasm, your passion, your passion. Your passion about your thinking. A lot of people have good education, good training, good science, but they don't have any good passion, enough passion about broadcasting their science, broadcasting their mind. We will talk about it in the next sessions, and also maybe out of this formal course about the, for example, role of courage, role of self-compassion, not self-passion, self-compassion, and role of courage and body language in being a good leader. So if you want to be a good leader, effective leader, cardinal leader for the future, more important than everything, you should have, at first you should have, and you should create. If you don't have, you can create it. You should create your leadership personality. With this very deep introduction, we want to go to the next part. Okay. So at
Dr.
this
Takavi, can I add something?
Yeah.
So, so Ron, I just wanted to address what you were saying, being a leader as a student. One of the key things I've always recommended to students or people that are new in their business careers that don't have a lot of experience is to try to look and see where they can gain some skills such as leadership. I think as Dr. Takavi was saying, with having like student organizations, so go out there and try to see places that you can develop your skills. So then when you go and you're hired at a job, you can say, look, I did this. Or for people that have never been a manager before, how is the company going to assess if they're going to be successful as a manager? Well, they can say, you know what, I joined, because a lot of organizations have different clubs, from intellectual to fun type of clubs, is go and find a situation or circumstance so you can say, yeah, you can still be a student and be a leader. You can still be new in an organization and be a leader. And it really shows passion, as Dr. Takavi was saying, and taking that action and that extra step to really develop those leadership skills.
So in this aspect, honestly, we are training people to be leader.
Mhm.
If we cannot produce and create leaders, if we cannot produce and making some people or have some leadership roles, okay, we should close our at first leadership courses. So you need some skills and very emphasize on training these skills. There's some problem, not in America, all around the world, that in bachelor degree, students are not so serious about the future. Sometimes also, sometimes I have seen it in different higher level or lower level students than, for example, Canada. Even we have studied the report and research about the Ivy League students in bachelor degree. They are very motivated, but they are not future or they didn't have any. They don't have any future oriented thinking, especially in some parts like leadership. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But in online classes and also in in-person classes, especially in Montebello campus, in CalMU, in CMU, I have seen a lot of full potential leaders, full potential leaders. I guarantee. I don't know why, especially in Montebello in campus classes, I have seen a lot of full potential future leaders, full potential, good mindset, good act, good talking, good charismatic. And I talk to Dr. Guya about this sometimes that I have a lot of hope that our students, as our prestige, our credit, social credit for the future, calling you in the next 5 years, not 10 years, not 20, in the next 5 years, as a good honor to have such students, previous students, as a present leaders. Thank you, Ruby, for your notice. And the next one, okay. Just a minute. Okay, in the trade area is the assumption that leadership is something related to your personality traits. As you know, one of the first and major part of psychology is personality psychology. One of the first interesting subjects that basic, very old-fashioned psychologists have gone to study about it was personality. Why? Two things in personality is very important. At first, about 200 years ago, a lot of scientists in biology and something which was called sometimes neurology, sometimes psychology, sometimes philosophy even, the name was, about the shape of your skull. It was the first question. Is there any relationship between the shape and size of your skull and your personality traits? It is called phrenology, Phronology. Phrenology is the science of studying shape and size of skulls and your brain with your personality traits. But it is related to the biology and criminology. It is very important in criminology that they want to know that is there any crime-prone shape of a skull? If you have sometimes of a specific shape of a skull, you are prone, you are very talented to be a criminal. It was the first question about, I think, 150 years ago. That about the research showed that there is about a 40% correlation, lower than 50%. So if you have a good shape of everything in your skull, sorry, it is not related to your future. It is only a very, very first-hand prediction of your abilities. So it is a good news that you can be everything you want in the future. And it's a bad news that not absolute thing about the future is inherited about the genetic. Genetic, it is about only a ground to have some good planting, everything. not absoluting about the future, because a lot of people, especially now in America, say that can we change the future of human being by genetic changing, genetic basic changing? You can do it, but the human being never will be free of necessity to be learned, to be educated. And every time we are going forward and forward, for example, with internet and other good facilities for learning and teaching, even the necessity to be a teacher and to have a teacher is being off after some years from now. I think from at the maximum rate after 10 years, even somebody like me, it is not necessary to be in a session for educating. Why? Because every type of educating is self-educating. After that, I think we are going to that. So in every each of the three eras of looking at leadership, we have two parts. What are the assumptions, pre-assumptions? What are the fundamental topics of that era? And what are the research-based findings? Which assumptions are approved, which are not confirmed, they are rejected. For example, in the assumption and trade era, we have three assumptions. Leaders are born, wow, such a dictatorship principle. The son of king is always a king. As you know, the son of king also is always a king, but not an efficient or maybe sometimes sufficient king. A lot of son of kings has destroyed the kingdom. So leaders are born. Leaders have a special characteristic and traits. Specific characteristic and traits, and leaders and followers have different traits. As you know, it is very a power line from up to down. Leaders are on the up and followers are the down. Also, it is not democratic, we know. It is based upon the power basic differences, power basic differences. Ordinary people, extraordinary people, kings and peoples, kings, queens, and people. As you see that in this part also, it is based upon a lot of research in that time and a lot of historical research. When we are talking about historical research, we are talking about the old and ancient wisdom of human being. For example, 5,000 years. We have 5,000 years of written history, for example, about traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. If you want to study TCM, they will offer you 5,000 years ago books, texts about the, for example, TCM. So the longitude, the history, the past life history of a nation, of a field, of a thinking, as a good evidence about approving, confirming, or rejecting the data. But now we, in the chapter of findings, we are talking about the previous 200 years, from 1800s to now, about leadership, which is the part we are thinking about the leadership very systematically, very academic, and honestly, in 50 years ago, we are talking about leadership very, very, very specifically. Why? Because it is the money and it is about the serious problem of organization to be different, a leader or a manager. So findings show that no single trait or set of traits clearly define leaders. No single trait or set of traits. Specific. Traits played a minimal role. I have a lot of questions about it. Are you agree with this finding? Traits play a minimal role? How do you think about this? Minimal role or no maximal role or optimal role? How do you think about it? We know a lot of people as leaders with a very specific traits. Say me some traits. Name some traits, good traits for to be a leader. One, patience as a also as parent. If parenting is a leadership situation, Robin says that patience is one of the traits. Other things,
Confidence,
confidence,
engaging,
confidence to others or self-confidence,
both.
both of them. Which is more important? As a leader, I should trust you. You should be, as my follower, trustable for me or not. I should trust on myself. I should have some self-confidence. Which is more important?
Well, the self-confidence comes first to build the basis of
Yeah.
displaying
Other
other.
people think about like Robin about the self-confidence or not? I, as a leader, it is better for me. It is more important for me to have self-confidence at first, or no, to have trust to other people, to my followers, which is more important. Can you say me? Can you call me? Can you name me some of the philosophers about the power? Who has talked about the power and leadership? Philosophers.
You mean like Plato?
Other one? Yeah. Have you heard the name of Machiavelli? Machiavelli, Prince, the book Prince. The book is called Prince. And also Nietzsche, The Will to Power. I highly recommended you to read the books of philosophy, not management, not academic books, about leadership thinking. I will send some of the books in the Moodle after ending the session, some name of the books. These are not very professional leadership. These are about the thinking about the concepts of leadership. Charisma, self-confidence, to be trustable, to have a clarification for mind, very, very, very clear objects for the future. Very, very clear objects. A good leader is never confused about the future. Never confused. Ideological thinking, even. A lot of good leaders, effective leaders, are from, for example, religious systems or ideological, for example, capitalism system, as an ideological, not as an economic system, ideology. What is the role of worldview in leadership? What's the meaning of worldview? What's the difference between worldview and ideology? Do you know what is worldview? What is ideology? Do you know what is ideology? What's the definition of ideology? Alexander, how do you think about the ideology? Ronald, Nadine, what is ideology?
Concept.
Maybe beliefs attributed to a person, maybe.
Yeah, other things? Yeah, other things? Basic question is this. What is a school of mind? School of thought. Can you say me the names of a school of thought, for example? Is capitalism a school of thought? Is pragmatism is a school of thought? Is communism is a school of thought? Is socialism a school of thought? Are these schools of thought? Do you agree with me or not?
I do. It's a way of thinking, right?
Way of thinking in a systematic approach. In a systematic approach. What are the elements of systematic approach? In a school of thought, there are two parts, two elements. One, worldview. Second, ideology. These are the different parts of a school of thought, worldview and ideology. What is worldview in a school of thought? In a school of thought, a worldview is the description of the world by that school of thought, which is in the present moment, or what are our prediction of the future, and what are our description and explanation from the previous. How do you think? How do you describe? How do you explain the cause and effect relationship between different events in a school of thought? For example, if your school of thought is capitalism, it is mean that you interpret the history of your country based upon the economic relationships. What is the cause of wars? Because of money, because of power. What is the cause of poverty? What is the cause of power? Everything is about their capital. And what are your favorite words in America? Psychological capital, organizational capital. Just now. In COVID-19, United States doesn't have any good social capital about the, for example, healthy behaviors. Why? In Europe and in Middle East, sometimes you see that everybody has some caution about the coronavirus. In California, everybody go to beach and no problem, and we have high raising in coronavirus. It is called social capitalism. The capitals of society, the capitals of mindset, for example, for healthy behavior in society. So in a school of mind, for example, capitalism, you see all the words, they are described and they are explained, cause and effects based upon the concept of capital. It is worldview. The second component of a school of thought is ideology. Ideology are the orders, must and must nots, do's and do nots, which are rooted from the worldview. Okay, if capital is the most important, for example, in capitalism, if capital is the most important part of human being life, what should we do based upon this concept? So, worldview is about why and how it is this. Ideology, it is about what. What should we do? For example, in religion, in every type of religion, in Christians, in Muslims, in Jewish people, we have very close interpretations about the nature of human being in the earth, afterlife, life, the situation of God to us, and the evil and other things. Okay, these are very close interpretation. In these interpretation, you have some comments, not comments, not it, these are comments. You should do them. These are ideology, religious ideology. If you do something bad, you will have punishment after life. It is the worldview, for example, in religion, about the guilt. What should we do based upon, for example, going to mosque, going to church and other prayers, and be a good citizen and other things, good human being and citizen related to other people. It's very basic for you to know, because in leadership course, you should learn how to think and how to analyze your present situation and a very total concept and your future situation. At first, you should know what is my worldview, what is my ideology, or no, what is my school of thought, and in that school of life, what are the worldview and what are the commands, what are the do's and not to do's, what are the must and must nots. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Next one, the behavior era.
Hello.
Any question? Okay. The behavioral era, assumptions and findings. Assumptions, behaviors rather than traits matter. It is not related to your traits, not to your personality, characteristic, or other things. It is only what is measurable and observable. Behaviors are observable and measurable. It is the scientific definition of behavior. What is behavior? Everything which is measurable and observable. And behavior can be taught. For a hopeful point, you can be a leader in the future. Why? Because we can teach you how to be a leader. Findings. In contrast, behavior rather than traits matter. Key behaviors are task structuring and relationship consideration. We have two types of behavioral leaders: task structuring behaviors and relationship consideration, which is about the task, which is about the relationship. Task-oriented leadership and relationship-oriented leadership. For example, if only the results are important for you as a leader, your your leadership style is task-oriented. It is not important your employee is good or bad or has some difficulty. It is, I am a leader of organization. The only thing which is important for me is my organizational results. Behaviors alone do not determine effective leadership. It is a finding that behaviors alone, it does not mean that behaviors are not important. It is mean that behaviors alone do not determine effective leadership. That we will talk about the effectiveness of leadership. No clear finding as to which behavior are most effective. We don't have any clear and absolute checklist of behaviors are very important, very basic to be a leader. Example of major leadership behaviors: task structuring and relationship consideration. For example, goal setting is a task structuring leadership behavior. Who is a good leader? A good leader, an effective leader, is someone who can set the goals for the organization, for the family, for the society, and for the world. Clarify expectations. Say me some names of different and very, very fantastic leaders, dead or alive, in the, for example, past 20 years. Who do you know?
Jack Welch.
Which is the field of leadership?
Sorry?
Which is the field of leadership? What is it leading? Jack Welch, for everybody that will see this video, I want to say them and also to me that this person is the leader of that. Jack Welch, leader of company, organization, movement, country.
Oh, company.
What company?
General Electric.
Okay, General Electric. Next one. Is he very courageous, very different, very productive, very creative, for example? Next one. Who do you know?
Herb Keller,
Which company?
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines. Courageous, different, future-oriented.
Yes, I think a lot of international students don't know Southwest as much of their success through all of the downtimes, and it was his vision, his view, and doing things differently that made them successful.
The word is vision. The word is vision. When you are talking and labeling someone as a leader, if I ask you what is his or her vision, you should talk about the future point, that he or she is leading his or her organization or other things, organization, family, society, everything. The vision and the future point, future vision, which is called perspective. Perspective is the future vision. What are you looking at the future point? The next one. Who is, for example, I want to talk about somebody that has changed his organization, has changed the history of interaction, for example, buying and selling, which organization has changed the tradition of thinking about merchandise, about buying and selling. For example, not
Apple.
the only example.
Apple.
Which is the greatest site for buying, especially for buying and selling the goods, especially for selling the goods?
Amazon.
Amazon. Mhm.
Amazon has created a culture, a different view in contrast with the whole human history, You have never looked at the buying and selling, especially selling in this approach. And after COVID-19, it is very, very getting more serious. Why? Because you are at home and the sellers are with you. You don't go for shopping. You are a shopper, but you are not going to shopping. Why? Everything is accessible for you. And now, for example, in space studies, we have somebody, I think it is my own opinion that the only person that I can talk about him for having a very different, new, and honest, yes, it is new view about the human nature and human future is the founder of Tesla. Who is the owner of Tesla?
Musk.
Yeah. So different. And you see that Tesla company, Tesla cars, has changed our 100 years of to have cars driving. Completely different. Why? Because changing the source energy. These are sometimes of very, not charismatic, creative thinking. And I'm very happy here to have three students, Alexander, Ronald, and Needham, that they want seriously to be the next generation of leaders. As you see, the best leaders are creative leaders. If I want to say you only one feature, only one single feature for being a different leader and a different person, it is only one concept also. I know it's covered a lot of skills, but one concept is out of the box thinking. Out of the box thinking. If you think inside the box, sorry, you are a very, 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 very successful manager. You are not a leader. Leader should create the future. Manager determine the future. What are the source of management? Present data. Honestly, in leadership, we don't have any data because it is about the future. It is not born. The future is not still born because of that, it is called future. If it is born, it is present moment. So go to task structuring and relationship consideration. Set goals, clarify expectations. I'll talk about it because I wanted to inform you, to let you know that goal setting is not always about present data. It is related to your definition of goal. There are some differences between goals and dreams. So different definitions, so different characteristic for defining the goals, and they are separated. Everything can be a goal, but everything cannot be a dream. Dream is something different. And prior to setting goal setting, set a schedule and timelines and assign tasks. It is task structuring. We are defining a course for you. In CalMU, it is about the personality and job matching personality assessment tools. What we want to learn you to teach you that how can you find so easily, and if as a future leader, as a future manager, future businesswoman or man, that how can you find who is best for this job position. It is job matching personality assessment tools, a lot of tools. In that part, one of the tools we should know that is it the future oriented, future result oriented, future process oriented, future personal or employee oriented. These are these difference here: task structure and relationship consideration. As you see, in relationship consideration, leadership style, show empathy and understanding. What is important for this type of leadership? You are important. At first grade, you are at the basic level, you are important, not your results, not your task. Be friendly and approachable, allow participation, and nurture followers. The third era is contingency era. What do you think about contingency? What's the operational definition of contingency? I know that you know the meaning, but in leadership, what is the operational definition of contingency? What is the meaning of contingency? Not operational definition, only meaning. Contingency is the same dependency, correlation, synchronization, combination. Which is your favorite meaning for contingency? Nitin, what is your favorite meaning? Ronald, Alexander? Your favorite synonym for contingency? How do you feel about the meaning of contingency? Now, how do you know? How do you feel about the contingency? Not in leadership, in everything. For example, in psychology and behavioral control psychology, we have a word or a phrase, it is contingency management. It is about the outcomes of your behavior, not motivated your behavior. When we want to have a, before entering the class, I have an Instagram live just this morning before the class. I was talking about the contingency management in addiction behavior, addictive behaviors, substance abuse, for example, or sexual addicted or other things. I was describing what is contingency management. You will destroy the desirable outcome of your addiction. For example, if you have a good feeling about drinking, we will give you some medication, some drug, and after drinking, you will have some hyper vomiting, like the pregnant ladies in the morning. It is morning sickness. You have some as a man, as a male, you have some hyper vomiting after drinking alcohol. It is aversion therapy. We produce aversion, not euphoria. After that, it is contingency management. I destroy the contingency of euphoria with drinking alcohol. If you are so courageous, come on and drink some alcohol. It is contingency. How do you think about the word contingency? Nitin, it's your time. The meaning of contingency.
It's unforced, some unforeseen situations or unpredicted circumstances.
A, then B, then C. If it is stage A, and after that it is a stage B as a result, and after that is stage C. Ronald, how do you think about the meaning of contingency? You are muted. Yeah. How do you think about the meaning contingency?
It sounds something like dependent for me. I'm not quite sure.
Alexander, how do you think?
Maybe about leadership.
Mm, not not exactly about the leadership, but you can talk about the meaning of contingency and leadership. Yeah.
Maybe focus on specific situation
Mm-hmm.
factors that can affect the direct relationships.
Yeah. How can you see? What can you see at the back of Robin's room? What can you see at the background, except of that picture? What can you see? Yeah,
Lot
yeah.
of books.
Books, you know.
What can you see? How many years of leadership and management experience do you have, Robin? How many years?
20 plus.
The first session, I said to you that in 21st century, we have only one phrase to be leader. In such a way of behaving, do you want to be a next leader of the world, of your organization? What was the motto of leadership in 21st century? You can see the sign of motto at the background of Roman's room. Leaders are readers. Why don't you know the meaning of a word in your native language? Why? I am not Native American. I'm Persian. You can ask me every good word in my language. I'm professional about my language. As a psychologist, not as a psychologist, as someone who is very keen about his or her language. Why don't you know the simple meaning of the word? You are getting educated for the next generation of meaning. I'm attacking you? Yes, because it is very important to you to know the importance of reading the books if you want to be a next generation of leaders. If you want to be. If it is your fantasy, okay, fantasy is for sleep and go to sleep. Have a good time. But if you are serious about to be next generation of leaders, what was your last book you have read, Nidin?
Sorry, last book.
Yeah, what was your last book you have read, for example, in the last year? Non-academic books.
Hmm.
Ronald, have you read any book in the last year? Every storybook, novel?
Yeah, I had some novel and storybooks last year.
What was the name?
Coming up a name.
Such a lovely book. Yeah, don't you remember the title of the book? And Alexander, what about you? Forget it. If you are thinking about the name of the, forget the book. My lovely student, are you serious to be the next generation of leaders, or it is only your fantasy? Be honest to me. Please be honest to me. If you cannot read the books, the good books, you are ordinary people. Sorry, leaders are not ordinary people. No problem. No problem to go to McDonald's, to waste your time with this garbage thing. No problem. It is ordinary people. I don't have any problem. But you said to me that you want to be the next generation of leaders. You want or not? Are you serious about it or not? If you want, you should do something different, because you want to be different in the future. You cannot be different with the same old, inefficient, wrong ways. I'm surprised that you don't know the exact meaning of one word. Because of that, sorry, you are ordinary people, and ordinary people are not leaders. Do you understand what I mean? It is clear. Robin, is there something you want to say us about it?
I will say one of the key things that people do ask me if they are listening to me and to gain their trust, credibility, and respect is they will say, have you read this book? Have you read that book? And a lot of times I am embarrassed if I haven't read kind of the latest of what's happening and going on. So if they don't quite know me yet, once again, one of the keys to gain trust, credibility, and respect is they want to know something about you and the behaviors that you've done. So it is something others look upon and do make judgments and assessments from. And it's something that I have found so incredibly powerful in my career is reading books.
It is not good that I cannot see the books in background of you. Also, I know it's a tradition. It is not important. Honestly, it is important about reading. My generation, Robin's generation also love papers. Okay, that's good. It's an ebook. Please be serious to read the books. Leaders are readers. Don't forget it. Every stupid co-worker, stupid roommate, stupid classmate said that it is garbage. Yes, you should know that his or her mind is garbage. And you are going to the trash, not to leadership. Because when it is garbage, the location, where is the location of garbage? Sorry, Nidin, where do you put your garbage at your home? Do you put your garbage, for example, in your bedroom and very, very clean place for your garbage? No.
Oh.
Garbage is for trash.
Correct.
If your mind is not full of good things, it is naturally going to be garbage. And the natural location of garbage is called trash. I don't have any problem with you not to read the books, but I have the problem with you about being a next good, effective, different leader. If you want to be a leader, you should be different, because a lot of people are not leaders. Pay attention. Ordinary people are not leaders. If everybody is leader, who is follower? I hope everybody leader. But if everybody leader, some of the leaders are the followers of other leaders. So to be leadership is a different thing. These are very, very basic. I should not waste your time to talk about these basic concepts. If you are serious, even though it is your dream, okay, have a good night, and you can see your leadership dreams at your sleeping time. The contingency area, no best way to lead, it is contingency. Simple traits or behavior alone don't explain or predict leadership. Prediction is a very important part of job matching. Understanding both leader trait, behavior, and situation is needed, okay? And personal and situational factors affect leadership effectiveness. So we have some contingency model, Fiedler contingency model, normative decision model, path goal theory, and LMX leader member exchange model. Okay, about 10 minutes break, and after 10 minutes be here.
Can I add something before we break?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on just a moment. Let's see if I can grab a book here. So one of the things that people can do when they're limited on time is TED Talks. Any of you watch TED Talks?
Yeah, always.
So shake your head or yes or no. Guys, TED Talks?
Yes.
No?
What is that?
Okay. So maybe Dr. Takavi, you can talk at some point about TED Talks.
Oh, TED Talks. Okay.
TED, T-E-D.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's called TEDx, Ronald. Sometimes it's
TEDx.
called TEDx or TED Talks.
So they're great, and that's the way, if you can't necessarily have the time to read a whole book. So for example, this is one of my favorite books, The Happiness Advantage. And he has an amazing, one of the top 20 TED Talks.
Yeah.
So I don't get through all of my books necessarily. I've gotten partway through. But watching the TED Talk, and then there are kind of cliff notes out there, like about 6 to 7 pages that kind of capstone the key points from the book.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are things that I may do. So there's a combination of things that can really, support if we can't necessarily, once again, get through a whole book.
Yeah. It's very good proposal from Robin that at first, if you cannot read and study a whole book, okay, go, for example, see some TED Talk, some YouTube about that. At first, you should read. It's a bad habit that you cannot study. And it is something different. But if you are honestly and really very busy, the first skill you should learn, the first skill, the more important skill, the most basic skill you should learn about your life is time management. Before everything, if you cannot manage your time, you are destroying your life, because your life is your time. If after time management, you don't have any time to read the books, okay, welcome to TEDx or TED Talks and other, for example, we have a client is Google Talk. Google Talk, it is more than TED. The TED Talks, it is between 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Google Talks is sometimes about 1 hour. Okay, see you after 10 minutes. Okay. So let's go to share. Yeah. Do you have my page?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have 4 models for contingency models. After that, we say that we have 3 approach to leadership: trait approach, behavioral approach, and contingency approach or contingency model, that says that leadership is not only the behaviors and leadership is not only the traits. Leadership is a combination and something more than combination. It's contingency. Contingency at the basic concept is something more than combination. It is some interconnection, some deep connection with the behaviors and traits. Do you know what is synergy? Have you seen about the synergy? Not energy. Have you seen it? Have you heard about it? What is synergy? SYNNERGY, synergy. Or synergetic, like energetic. Have you heard about it or not? Synergy, it is some summation. For example, 1 plus 1 equals 2. It is energy. 1 energy plus 1 energy, it is 2 energy. When we work together, it is team dynamics, for example. My own energy plus Robin's own energy together is a little more than summation. It is synergy. 1 plus 1, it is 2.1. That except additional 1 part, it is synergetic. I said it because I want to say you that contingency is synergetic effect. It is something more than combination. combination of traits and behavior is called leadership. Leadership is something more than a summation of that person behaviors and that person traits. It is a combination and leadership effect. For example, if you have two persons, one person with the same traits needed for an effective leadership, another person with the same behaviors needed for an effective leadership. Together, the same person is a single person, so-called a leader. Leadership is something more than summation of traits and behaviors. Because of that, when we are talking about leadership, we are not talking about the dominancy. We are talking about influence. How do you think about it? What's the difference between dominance and influence? Is there any difference or not? Honestly, I am not here to answer your question. I am here to make some new question approach, some thinking, some minding in yourself, to ask yourself. For example, one of the questions is this: what is the difference between influence and dominance? I'm showing with my hands the differences: dominance, influence. Nidin, do you want to talk about it? Do you have any idea about it, or Alexander, or maybe Robin? What do you think about it?
Look at it, sometimes I've had the question asked, what's the difference between motivation and manipulation?
Or motivation, or maybe
that.
inspiration.
Sorry?
Motivation and inspiration, very,
Yeah.
very near, but they are different. They are not the same.
Motivation and manipulation.
Yeah. All this
Yeah.
different, and sometimes we can talk about the difference between motivation and inspiration even. Manipulation is some good distance from motivation. If you have be careful looking at the motivation, you can check it. Is it motivation or manipulation? But motivation and inspiration are very near, like coaching and mentorship, like management and leadership. Very, very, very cutoff point. Very, very small and very detailed differences, but important differences. So in this aspect, what is the difference between?
So I think we were saying domination is when they're pushing down, maybe viewed as a more autocratic style of management. Influence, when you try to come in and are more participatory in your approach. So you can do something because you're told to do something, or you can do something because you're inspired to do something by a leader.
So very simple, I want to show you that dominancy is a matter of power. Influence is a matter of passion.
I like that.
Dominance is a matter of power. You are power party or not, you are power party. You are not power party. It's a conflictual situation when you want to have dominance. But influence is just something like love. It is a matter of passion. And in leadership, influential people are charismatic people. Charismatic people don't have any dominance over you. They are inside you. They are over your heart, not over your mind. So management is something of dominancy, but leadership is as a matter of influence. Also, another difference in my book, and not published yet. In my book, some difference between intelligent people and smart people. Some differences is intelligent people are looking forward dominancy. Smart people are looking forward influence. Okay. Peters contingency model, normative decision model, path goal theory, and leader member exchange model. Okay. Fiedler contingency, the founder of the model is Fiedler. Leadership effectiveness is a function of the match or fit between leader's style and leadership situation. Until the end of the contingency model, we are discussing the relationship between style and situation. Contingency models have two elements: leadership style and leadership situation. We are talking about the relationship between different models, different relationships, but the sender and receiver is the same. As you can see in the communication theory, in communication theory, we have three elements: sender, receiver, channel. We have a part element, it is communication channel. In, for example, contingency model, always sender and receiver are leadership style and leadership situation. The different models, the different channels, the different relationship between the leadership style and leadership situation, as we had a good talk about the leadership situation, example of leadership situation in the previous 1 hour second. The leader's style has a trait-like quality and cannot be changed from one situation to another. It's very clear, it is very obvious that when you are talking about the traits, about the characters, about the personalities, you are talking about the fixed traits, relatively fixed traits, relatively persistent traits, relatively consistent traits. Relatively, not absolutely, but it is about the traits. When you're talking about, so in the different situation, the same traits, yes. It is an operational definition of personality. That part of behaviors that you can see from one single person in different situations, the same behaviors, those traits, those features are personality. Situations, locations are different, are changing, but the traits does not change. Those traits are called personality, character, okay? The leader must change the situation to fit his or her style. So, in this model, in Fiedler contingency model, we have some relatively fixed traits. And you cannot and you should not change your traits based upon the situation, because it is you. Different situation, different use, different personalities, different characters. It's me. I cannot change myself based upon the different situation because it is myself. It is my character, my personality. So in this model, it is advised to the managers, to leaders, that you cannot adopt yourself with the situation. You should use the situation which are fitted to your personality. It is contingency, Fiedler contingency model. Elements of Fiedler: leadership style and leaders situation. We have a good inquiry test here. It is least preferred co-worker scale, or LPC scale. Least preferred co-worker scale. LPC, you can determine the situational favorableness of your particular situation on three distinct factors, which we'll talk about it in the next PowerPoints. Leader-member relations, task structure, and position power. Through PLPC scale, you can determine the situational favorableness of your particular situation on these three distinct factors. One, leader-member relations. What is leader-member relation? This is the level of trust and confidence that your team has in you. You are a leader, and one of the scales is what is the level of confidence my followers, my team members, my department members, my colleagues, my co-workers, that my situation is not a co-worker. They are co-worker to me, but I am a leader. I'm not a simple co-worker or simple worker. I'm the leader of that department. I'm the leader of that team. I'm the leader of that organization. One of the factors is the matching of trust. What is the level of trust they have to me, they have in me? A leader who is more trusted and has more influence, pay attention. The word is again influence, not dominance. Pay attention to the word, please. Working with human minds is working with language, not with verbal language only. Working with human minds is working with language. And you have two types of language, verbal language and non-verbal language. The main part of verbal language is vocabulary. If you miss correct usage and deep usage of the word, you miss a huge part of language, and after that you miss a huge part of influence on every other human being. So please pay attention very, very with detail and carefully to the words. Again, a leader who is more trusted and has more influence within the group is in a more favorable situation than a leader who is not trusted. So we are talking about the situational favorableness with three items: leader-member relations. How is the position of leader-member relation? How is the task structure? And how is leader position power? Not power position, position power. Okay? Here in leader-member relations, the main factor is trust. Whenever and wherever the level of trust is good for you, is better for you, you are more powerful. You are more influential leader. You are more charismatic leader. Second one, task structure. This refers to the type of task you are doing. Clear and structure or vague on structure. Unstructured task, confused task, or task where the team and leader have little knowledge about how to achieve them are viewed unfavorably. One of the first things we talked about the leaders was goal setting. In your organization, for example, Robin is our HR manager. Okay, Robin, you are an HR manager, okay? Okay. As HR manager, Robin said to me, as my manager, that Dr. Sorry, if you want to work at CalMU, you should do this. These are our expectations, and these are your task descriptions. Robin made my task so clear for me as an HR manager. If the tasks are not clear, confusion atmosphere, confused environment, make everything vague and untrusted. And it produces stress, it produces anxiety about what should we do. And leaders' position power. This is the amount of power you have to direct the group and provide reward or punishment. It's a system. It's a very basic biological system. You have also a reward system, reward recruit in your brain. It is called amygdala. If you want to know about the amygdala, you can look at your brain as a leader. I don't know what is it. Honestly, I don't know what is it, but some days ago, I have heard about the field that it is very, the name and the title of the field is very fantastic. It is neuro leadership. Leadership based upon the MRI. We have some magnetic resonance imagination of your brain, and based upon your MRI brain imaging, we determine what type of leadership you are good for it. You are eligible for it. It is neuro leadership. You can search it in internet, neuro leadership. There are a lot of courses about the neural leadership. Neuro, neural leadership. And leaders position power in the brain. We have some circuit for punishment and also for reward. This is amygdala. The more power you have, the more favorable your situation. Fiedler identified power as being either strong or weak. We don't have, in this approach, we don't have a good powerful man, a bad powerful man. We have powerful man or not powerful man. So you have powerful, strong leader or weak leader, which is the criteria for diagnosing that you are powerful or not, you are strong or you are weak. Task and relationship motivated. In this type of LPC scale, the results are two parts: high LPC number score or low LPC score. High LPC score is relationship motivated leaders, and low LPC scores is indicated to task motivated leaders, which is important for you. The task of your followers or the movement and the growth of your followers. Absolutely, everybody says no. We are human beings. It is absolute that other people are more important for me. But in a lot of organizations, with no racial, ethnicical, religious, and social, and minority and majority, and other parts of discrimination, you see that, sorry, instead of our loud talking about the freedom of human, about the justice and other things, you see that, sorry, in a lot of organization, you as a human being are not so important as your task. Your result are more important than your personality. It is not good. I don't know. I know. It is not humanistic. I know. But sorry, it's a huge reality of our human society, not America, not Middle East, not Europe, everywhere you can see. So we have to approach here, which is important for this leader. Is this type of leadership is relationship motivated leader or task motivated leader with the scores of LPC. In low LPC, in task motivated leader, draw self-esteem for task completion. What is the source of your self-esteem? Your task completion. We cannot look at you as a human being. We look at you as a money-making or a task-completing machine. Have you seen the movie, I think it is Modern Age? Have you seen for Charlie Chaplin? Are you sure you haven't seen it? It's very famous. Take a minute, I will check it. If I am not wrong, Modern Age, Charlie Chaplin. Modern Times, sorry, Modern Times. Have you seen it? Modern Times? So bad. Modern Times, it is heavily, can you see my page or not?
The PowerPoint, yes,
You can see only the PowerPoint. Okay.
just the PowerPoint, yeah.
Modern Times is about, I think, at least more than half a century years ago, 50 years ago, at least more than half a century ago. It is about the industrialization in the Western countries, and so sad and deep look at the human being as the money-making machines and result-oriented garbage leadership and task-oriented for trash leadership. Because when you look at me at the garbage, my place, my proper location is the trash, but I'm a human being. I'm not the garbage. So in the at the end of the 19th century and the first half of 20th centuries, and sometimes, honestly, just now in some countries, in some cities, in some factories, it is not total, but you can find it if you search for it, if you look for it. Okay, it is so, it is very, very advised to see this movie, Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin. It's fantastic. I'm surprised that you haven't seen this movie because it is the most famous movie in the history of cinema, in the history of Hollywood, that has a critical thinking about the industrial Western culture, especially capitalism in America. It is fantastic. And it is very surprising that the movie has been made in Hollywood, not out of America. America against America. No, it is not America against America. It is critical thinking about the looking at human beings as machines. What is the first pole of looking this type to human? For example, about 100 years ago, not just now. It is about one of the main core of this ideology and this worldview to a human being was, for example, capitalism, which the sultaning of the which country is the sultan of capitalism, the icon of capitalism, United States of America. So please watch this movie. It is very, very important. Everyone who want to be a leader, a manager, a mid-level manager should watch Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin. Also, it is a black and white movie. And focuses on task first. Your result on task are first, you are second. Can be harsh with the failing followers. You are not human. You cannot have a right to be failed. You don't have any right to do wrong. You are not human people. You are human being. You are superpower people. Looking at the man for not allowing, not permission to be human. Failure is a basic human right. I think also I should call United Nations and ask them, please add to the human rights by me also that Dr. Takavi said failure is a basic human right. Before becoming a Superman, I was a human being. And when I was a human being, I had some right of to be failed. So failure is a basic human right. Also, I think there are a lot of other basic human rights that we should offer to you. And for example, falling in love, in my attitude, falling in love is a basic human right, like pursuit of happiness that in America says. Considers competence a key follower trait. Competence, not loyalty, competence. I don't want to enter the different types of marketing, but as a sample, I say you that network marketing is a subcategorization, something called referral marketing. The main topic is referral marketing. The subcategorization have several subcategorization. One of them is network marketing. In referral marketing, as in network marketing, which is very popular, very successful today in all parts of marketing and business, we need loyalty, not competence, because they are very, very simple people, very, very simple people. No highly educated, no highly demanding people, not lower class, but midlife class, but they have a loyalty to their organization. Because of that, we call it referral marketing, not simple marketing. And enjoy details. Task motivated leaders love details. They talk about the details hours and hours and hours until the time that they are asleep, or you are asleep as an audience, or both of you are asleep. But in relationship motivated leadership with a high LPC score draws self-esteem from interpersonal relationships. We have two part of relationship, two type of relationship: interpersonal relationships and intrapersonal relationships. Intrapersonal relationship is a relationship with yourself, intra, like internet and intranet. Intranet, for example, if America produces a network, computer network, only limited to the geographical area of America, it is intranet. When it is over with other countries, it is internet. So interpersonal relationships focuses on people first, but in the task motivated, it focuses on task first. Likes to please others, can be harsh with followers. Consider loyalty to be key follower trait. But in that part, it is competence is a key follower trait. And gets bored with details. Okay, summation and summarization of the things it is good for a relationship motivated, very humanistic. Now, we will talk about the servant leadership in the next sessions, in the next weeks, following weeks. It is very beautiful and in opposition to the first prediction of servant leadership that it should be a charity. Now findings shows that servant leadership is one of the greatest money-making leadership. It produces and makes something more than money. It produces wealth, and wealth is not money. Money is a very, very, very basic part of wealth. Every wealthy man or woman will talk to you that, sorry, money is the basic part, not the older parts. So because of that, what was the title of the book, Robin? Happiness?
Happiness Advantage.
Happiness Advantage. In Happiness Advantage, you will read the basic mental differences between rich people and wealthy people. Rich people is meant have a lot of money. You will read the basic differences between to be rich and to be wealthy. The more important than everything, differences between to be rich and to be happy. You know, a lot of rich people that, sorry, they are not happy at all. Pursuit of happiness is more important for two groups of people: the lowest grade people and the highest grade people. Both of them are pursuing for happiness. Why? Because of demanding in the lowest part of social prestige class, social class, and because of having everything but doesn't have any meaning. The book that Robin offered you is very good. One of the greatest book I have read, and one of the greatest and famous book in America, and it is scientific. It is not about positive thinking. It is not about Anthony Robbins. No. It is scientific, based upon we have a journal. It is International Journal of Happiness Studies, with an ISI score higher, about 3 or 3, I think. Nature is 4 or 4.5. Nature is the more credible present journal in the world. Journal of Happiness Studies, ISI score is about, I think, 3. It is very, very accredited with all the scientists. That book is based on the findings of something like, for example, International Journal of Happiness Studies. Any question? Nothing? Oh, time has passed so soon. And practical implications of filter contingency. At first, I should say to you that I don't have any pressure to talk about everything, all the titles, for example, in 150 minutes. Why? Because I'm not your book. I'm your instructor. I should have some flip and flap on your mind to think deeply and with curiosity about, for example, something in the book. And your academic book is one of the best and simplest book about the leadership. Leaders must understand their own style and their leadership situation. Leaders should focus on changing their leadership situation and other things. Okay, in the last 15 minutes, please go to Moodle, and based upon your PowerPoints, we have a weekly quiz. Is there anything to ask me or not? Okay, would you find it? Weekly quiz 2. 5 questions, about 15 minutes, but it is not necessary. At least at the maximum rate you need, for example, 10 minutes. It's very simple. Based upon the 2 PowerPoints in this week's session. It is not necessary to pass the quiz when you are in the Moodle. You can leave the Moodle, you can leave the Zoom, but until the 3:30, please do the quiz because you are online, you are hybrid. If somebody is online, can do it on until the Saturday, Sunday midnight, but you should do it just now. Is there any question? You can mail me by my faculty email address, atakavi@faculty.kalamu.edu and other things.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.
Nidham, how is your wife? You're on mute.